Unpack those leadership skills with Dr. Mazwe Majola, a leadership expert and organizational strategist from Umnotho Wamazwe Consulting. Good evening. Thank you so much for coming through. So the description there says a revolutionary leader.
Yes.
But we're talking here about leadership under fire, under pressure, under tough circumstances.
Yes.
What for you are the leadership qualities that stood out with Winnie Madikizela-Mandela?
She was, of course, the best leader, the great of the greatest. Leadership, it's about balancing the tensions or the paradoxes. You take one extreme and you pull together. So leadership is about end and or, not either or both, or rather end and both, not either or. So she was so good. I would call her the lioness and the lamb. The lioness in terms of her courage. While she saw courage, yes, and she's caring. While she saw resilience, she's humble. While she saw resolute and relentless, and she's respecting, and she's approachable, and she's accessible by ordinary people. So that is why I stood out for her, because she was a strong person. But at the same time, you always see that smile, the amiability that you'll find from her. So she was able to touch ordinary people while she resists wrong things from anyone. So she was not a pushover.
I love your description, lion and the lamb.
Yeah.
She was a lion when she needed to be, and a lamb when she needed to be. But talk to me about that accessibility you just described. She never left Soweto.
That's right.
What does that say about her? I mean, living among her people and perhaps being connected and being in touch with the people she's leading.
And this is the best thing for great, or which distinguishes great leaders from ordinary leaders. The ability to balance accessibility and the distance. In other words, as a leader, there will be time when you must be distant. You keep your distance from other people, not everyone can, but at the same time, while you do that, you are accessible, you are approachable, and she took a decision to be with the people and to live with the people until the last day, which is so noble, and you could see how the people have been celebrating her because of the love that she had for them.
How important was bravery in all of this? Because, you know, in her period of leadership, danger was not a possibility, it was almost guaranteed.
All the time. And that is what it's all about, leadership. Leadership is about courageous, and that is why we are saying she was a lioness. So, while at the same time she's a lamb, because she was braver. You've got to stand your ground and think with your feet. You've got to know your convictions. You know, she knew what she stood for. She was not a kind of a person you take from one place to another place, so moving with the wind. So she knew what she was fighting for. She was so committed and loyal to her principles and to her mission and to what she was resisting for. That is why they tried everything. They tried everything, but she was so strong that even during the time, of course she was a human being. Of course there was a time when probably she would cry, she would feel lonely, she would feel left out like any other person, but her bravery stood out.
So how important, though, was it that she would lead the struggle in that way, being a woman? Because it seems to me that this put her in a position where she was basically leading a multi-frontal struggle. Not only was it about this whole system of apartheid, but it was also about patriarchy.
And that's what women leadership is all about, isn't it? Women, by nature, the way they are created, they are able to accommodate. They are strong. I mean, all of us, we know we were raised by women. Women are strong, you know, are very, very strong. And we wish they will be given more leadership. And I think this is what Mama Winnie has evinced and demonstrated. Give women more leadership roles, and then you'll see the bravery and the courage that they will give to the people.
Sure, it's easy for us to say this now. I mean, in a post, apartheid South Africa, but in the so-called, if you can call it a food chain of apartheid, black women in particular, were really at the bottom of it. But to what extent did she advance that particular struggle of challenging the systems that keep women back and held back, their potential not realized? Let's make no mistake, we continue to grapple with these issues on a day-to-day basis in modern South Africa, but how far did she push it?
As I'm saying, I think as a leader, as a person, you've got to stand your ground. Think with your feet. You've got to be a principled person. You've got to know what you are fighting for. You've got to know your purpose of existence. You've got to know why you are doing certain things. Because if you do not know, otherwise someone else will come and push you to the other side, and another one will pull you on the other side. So Winnie emerged from that epoch, or from that period, which was a very, very difficult time, when she knew she was fighting for the struggle of the people. She was fighting not only for her family, but for the whole country. She knew that her husband was in jail, and she was in exile at some point herself, but she knew that struggle must be fought. And if you know your mission and you know what you are living for, and then no one will pull you in different directions.
I want to talk about another quality that I've, from the conversations we've been having with various people, and a lot of the points that I'm taking you through are from those conversations. Forthrightness and speaking truth to power. This is something that came out quite a lot when we were talking to people. You observed that quality in Winnie Madikizela-Mandela?
In more ways than she was so truthful, and she knew. This is why I'm saying, if you know what you are fighting for, and then you'll be so truthful in standing your ground for that, forthright, and then no one will pull you from different directions. You'll be, and then the quality of resilience from it, the resoluteness. She was so resolute, so that no one, even the apartheid regime, the agencies, the police, people, even her own comrades who failed and betrayed her, but she was so resolute, she was forthright, she knew what she was doing.
Right, but talk to me now as a parting shot about any leadership flaws or weaknesses that you perhaps observed in Winnie Madikizela-Mandela.
Like, of course, any other human being, like any other, of course, any other leader, there wouldn't be anyone who's perfect. So there are some certain areas, the way she handled certain things, which unfortunately, because leadership is contextual, because of the context that she found herself during that time, and she had to take decisions, and then certain things were done. Probably if she would look back, and she would say that, I shouldn't have done that. But because of the pressure and the time and the context, she found herself...
Courage under fire.
Absolutely, yes.
Dr. Mazwe Majola, thank you so much for coming through and sharing your insights with us here on Newsnight. He is, of course, a leadership expert and organizational strategist from Umnotho Wamazwe Consulting.